God's Wisdom for a Fair and Just World by Dr. Jim Richards. Chapter 8. Do not become troubled. Quote, "See that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." End quote. It's almost unbelievable that Jesus would tell us not to become troubled in light of all these horrific events. Let's consider the wisdom of his word. First and foremost, the most destructive emotion in the Bible is fear. Fear exists in the continuum of unbelief. Fear is both a cause of disbelief as well as the result of unbelief. Fear is the thief that never stops stealing. Fear makes it completely impossible to hear God's voice in our hearts. Fear puts us into fight or flight mode. It renders us incapable of maintaining any mindset that promotes love and kindness. It propels us into sheer survival mode, regardless of who gets hurt or how irrational our logic. But there is another factor I want to focus on. None of these events indicate that we have crossed the line to the end. In the original language, the word end can mean to set out for a definite point or goal, properly the point aimed at as a limit, i.e., by implication, the conclusion of an act or state. From this definition, we see that all the events occurring during this time have a goal. They are not random. Allowing the spread of unchecked lawlessness has the purpose of bringing an end to something, to open the way for something else. That which is coming to an end is a just, fair, civil society. That which emerges will be a society of lawlessness. Lawlessness, as used in the Scripture, is not just the breaking of man's laws. It's the rejecting and violating God's laws as the basis for love and social justice and replacing them with man's laws. The good news is that at this stage we have not yet passed the point of no return. Jesus said all these events were the beginning of sorrows. The word sorrows is used to describe a woman having birth pangs. In other words, these things are being inflicted on the world by the wicked for the specific purpose of giving birth to a new world order, i.e., a world with no knowledge of God. This new world order will be a new system of government which will end freedom as we know it. It will unleash unfathomable immorality and inhuman treatment against the poor by the elite. All people will either be in the ruling class or property of the state. Fear is paralyzing. It keeps us from proactively or reactively responding. It can emotionally draw us out by the sheer magnitude of circumstance. After all, the goal of massive deception is to make us fear we can do nothing about the situation. Possibly the most destructive is the fear of taking a stand, the fear of letting our voices be heard while we can make a difference. As anti-God lawlessness and rebellion intensifies, it becomes more and more apparent that all those people screaming for justice have no interest in justice as we understand it. They want to take away the rights of all who dare to disagree with the concept of justice. They silence all who express a different opinion. Businesses are boycotted and destroyed for merely disagreeing with some extreme political view or for liking an opinion they reject. Elitism not only tells you what you can do, it tells you how you should think. A church in Birmingham, Alabama, that helped thousands of poor and needy people throughout the area faced the wrath of a politically motivated city because the pastor liked comments that were different from those in power. Since I first wrote these pages, several churches have disappeared from social media. Their voices have been silenced. People are afraid to state their opinions, put a flag on their house, a political bumper sticker on their car, or even honestly answer a polling question for fear of their reprisals. It is time we all realize that these groups have no interest in helping anyone other than themselves. If we remain silent, we will soon be like the people of China, faced with losing all state benefits unless they denounce Jesus as Lord, destroy all religious paraphernalia, and pledge their allegiance to the chairman of the Communist Party as Lord. Here are the opinions presently offered. Number 1, enjoy monetary freedom from persecution by now keeping silent. Number 2, continually surrender your freedoms in exchange for the illusion of independence. Number 3, deny Jesus as Lord and serve the elite. Number 4, stand for God and real justice. In countries that have been overthrown by socialism and communism, much of the church did nothing. They convinced themselves that remaining silent might allow them to help the needy for a while. They preached what they were allowed to preach and little by little become a cog in the propaganda machine. By the time they realized their mistake, it was too late.